Ladies and gentlemen, Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good day trading. Today, market is down, pretty much flat there. On the S&P Nasdaq did get hit a little bit harder today. Now, semiconductor is pretty much flat, but it looks like Dow, Russell 2000, transport, banks, and energy, biotech, all these guys are green with about 0.5% positive for those sectors. Healthcare up 1.3%, along the home builders, utilities up about 1%, retail down, emerging market down, Bitcoin flat, gold, silver, miners made a little bit of move today. Dollar down, oil up, treasury bond up, VIX is down a little bit. Let's do the S&P 500 ETF. Spider, 65-minute chart here. So this is where we closed yesterday, and this is where we opened up this morning. So it looks like we actually saw a gap up, and I've suggested a gap up on the last night's update. But when I said if you want to see a island reversal gap up, what it needed to do was the gap above the where the down gap happened, right? But instead we gapped up right here, kind of like in the middle of it, and then we can see it like went up and filled the remainder of that gap, which is a good news. This down gap is finally filled, and you guys know what happens once the down gap or any kind of gap is filled. If the down gap is filled, it's gonna act as resistance. If the up gap is filled, it's gonna act as support, right? So this is a down gap. Why is it a down gap? Because it gapped down. Okay, so that's a down gap. So when we saw that move today, that gap up, that's an up gap because it gapped up, right? Does that make sense? So so once that gap got filled, that's why they needed to gap above it, so then they could turn it into an island top or island bottom reversal rather. Because the reason why I suggest the fact that they should gap it over, because once the gap gets filled, it is going to act as what? Instant resistance. So what happened? You know what happened. You can see we were not able to get above that resistance all day long. You see what I'm saying? So this is why it would have been better if the bulls were able to gap it above the down gap. Hey, but bulls are gonna take whatever they can get at this point, because that down gap that was opened up back in April 11th. It's been very, very hectic environment for about 2 weeks straight, right? A lot of difficulties that came about after this down gap. So I'm sure bulls are happy. The fact that they completely filled that down gap, completely. They didn't leave any. You can see right here, when this down gap wasn't fully filled, right there, that thing, the market tanked for 2-3 weeks. Good news is that this time around, bulls fully fill that down gap today with this spinning top candle there. And after that, it's gonna act as instant resistance, and that's pretty much what happened entire day. So what can we expect going into tomorrow? So good, here's a couple of things. First of all, that short-term moving average that has been acting as resistance, it's been supporting the bears for pretty much entire last 2-3 weeks. You can see right here also that short-term moving average supporting the sellers. But since yesterday, it looks like bulls reprogrammed that short-term moving average right here to support the bulls. And so we're just right on that level. And 443 is important pivot. What I mean by pivot means that level acted as prior support, and then prior resistance, and then potentially, okay, keyword here is a potentially, could act as a new support. That's a pivot, which is at 443.73. Not to mention my micro-term moving average is right there. Keep in mind, my micro-term acting as a resistance last week, but this week that micro-term moving average is supporting the bulls at this level. So at 440, you know what I'm gonna do? So you guys don't get too precise with the level. I'm just gonna, you gotta give it some wiggle room here. Okay, you gotta give it some wiggle room here. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do 443 and 442, right? I'm gonna call that a band of support. So first of all, we have that 443 pivot, yes? And then we got the short-term moving average and the micro-term moving average. That 443 is strong support. But we wanna give a little bit of wiggle room just in case, you know, we might throw down some sort of like, if we see something like this where like it opens up flat, but there's that long lower wick, and then we see something like this on the first hour, yes, that means 443, the short term and the micro term moving average held, right? And a lot of times something like this happens just so that market can take your stops out, get you out. So that might be the case, so that you want to give some wiggle room here, right? Because a midterm moving average, it continues to rise at this point, and we've been tracking this midterm moving average for some time now, pretty much this entire year. You see that midterm. Important thing about that midterm is that it's been declining in February and March. Somewhere here in April, we are slightly rising here. And now we're back above the short term and the micro term. So we're starting to turn just a little bit where the overall price action wants to favor the buyers. But then again, we don't know yet until this resistance, that resistance gap is filled. Let's check out that oscillator, see if we can extract any more information. So you can see this is important bullish divergence right here. So you can see last time we saw that bullish divergence occurring in the market. You can see that's the equal lows on the price action, higher low on the oscillator, lower lows on the price action, higher low in the oscillator. That's a bullish divergence. So last time when we saw something like that right here, well, this market got up for about a week or two. Let's be precise here. Yeah, 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Bullish rally we saw after that bullish divergence has been confirmed. So can we expect another 2 weeks of bullish move if we can see a follow through or right on that support in the next coming days? I'm gonna come back for you. We'll reassess the situation. Enjoy your evening and good trading tomorrow.